Harry was not in love with Meghan Markle. He was in love with somebody else who turned him down.
And this is now becoming a real crisis.
I don't think that Harry would ever leave those children. And so he's stuck in California and he doesn't have any friends, really. You know, Nacho is there sometimes, but he also lives in Florida and he's constantly traveling. He hangs out with his security guards and Meghan and the kids.
When you look at the one who got away, and she's living the life that you hope to live one day, in Mystique no less, with a lovely man who treats her very well, of course that is going to hurt.
Harry has woken up and smelled the roses. And he's not happy because it's not roses he's smelling. He's smelling something bad. Poop.
On March 30th, 2026, Chelsy Davy shared a quiet image of her newborn son on a sunlit beach with no spectacle and no performance attached. In that same week, Prince Harry stood in a London courtroom, locked in yet another battle with the press as private messages resurfaced and his credibility took a public hit. That contrast says everything. One life moved toward peace and privacy, while the other stayed trapped in conflict and exposure.
Prince Harry is heartbroken all over again. Now, of course, this is something that he is never going to admit publicly, especially as his marriage to Meghan Markle crumbled.
That single week captures the deeper story. This is no longer just about whether Harry misses Chelsy, it's about how he arrived at this point. A man once surrounded by love, family, purpose, and structure, slowly made choices that stripped away nearly every force that once kept him grounded.
You can see it in their public appearances that this man can't even stand to look at this woman.
The hardest part may be this. Chelsy didn't just move on, she built the exact life Harry once said he wanted. Simplicity, children, privacy, and distance from the cameras became her reality. Harry, meanwhile, ended up with legal battles, public strain, and a marriage increasingly defined by instability.
Diana looked after him like a child. He was a child, but she had to really nurse him and hold him, and he was a damaged child from the start.
Remember the date May 2028 because it will matter later. But long before that, Chelsy had already seen the shape of the life closing in around Harry. In 2016, she described royal life as chaotic, frightening, and unbearable, then built her future around one clear decision: she wanted no part of it.
If there was a willing billionaire, she would only leave for a step.
Unfortunately for Harry, after just a couple of dates, Sarah and Macklin decided that Harry was too dumb, too self-absorbed, too nasty to date, that she didn't want to date him.
Their history matters. Harry and Chelsy met in Cape Town in 2004 and spent 7 years circling each other through breakups, reunions, and long stretches of hope. She even moved to England to narrow the distance, but the relationship kept crashing into the same wall. Relentless public scrutiny.
Yeah, he loved her a lot, and she really loved him, and they had great fun together. And he liked it because she wasn't worried about the royal family. That wasn't a big deal for her. She just fitted in very easily.
The intrusion was real and extreme. Surveillance, leaked travel details, and invasive press tactics turned Chelsy into a target, and Harry later described that pressure under oath. But the deeper irony is that while he built his legal crusade around blaming the tabloids, Chelsy's final decision was bigger than the press. She rejected the life itself.
So he started having affairs with all sorts of other girls, and she got very upset, and he didn't go and see her for a long time, so she went off and left him. Now that's his fault, 100% his fault.
Yes, the press made everything worse, but Chelsy's own path makes the truth clearer. She didn't just escape attention, she disappeared into a life she chose with care, building a career, a family, and a private world on her own terms. No victimhood, no spectacle, just a steady, deliberate peace that seems to have rewarded her for walking away.
Totally miserable, totally allowing his negative past to take over him, all of these court battles, and just a great sense of sadness, actually, and anger connected to him.
Hold that image for a moment. Educated, settled, successful, and far from the chaos, because the contrast with Harry's life is about to become impossible to ignore.
Nothing can actually get through to him to be happy now. He just feels it. It's everything's wrong.
Here's the pattern that begins to emerge. Friends who questioned Harry's relationship didn't seem to drift away naturally. They were pushed out. Skippy, one of Harry's oldest and closest friends, warned him things were moving too fast, and for that he appeared to be shut out completely.
We all know that that's how Meghan is. We've seen it from the very beginning. So to even say that you don't do that when we clearly can see that you have done it, you continue to do it, it just makes you out to be a liar.
And it didn't stop with one friend. The circle kept shrinking from old companions to family to military peers as anyone who challenged the relationship seemed to disappear from Harry's world. Step by step, the people who had known him longest were cut away, leaving him more isolated with every decision.
She was love-bombing him, completely love-bombing him, playing along with all their plans at the time.
The pattern was brutal in its simplicity. Not disagreement, removal. The people who once anchored Harry were replaced by those who fit the new arrangement.
She tries to direct and show people what to do because she's a controller. And that's what we see in her body language. That is her showing control because she is control obsessed.
She wants to showcase that image to the world that she is the one who's the boss, but she's not really the boss.
Harry eventually admitted that even his father stopped taking his calls over the security dispute. Chelsy recognized this machinery years earlier and ran from it. 16 years later, Harry remained inside it, surrounded by the very system she refused to let consume her.
We always talk about how Meghan's like, they took my voice. Well, she's taking Harry's. She's taking his voice. She's taking, his freedoms away from him to do what he wants to.
This is where the story stops feeling merely sad and starts feeling devastating. Harry's war with the press became the defining mission of his post-royal life.
Actually had no intention of moving to South Africa with him and escaping the press and living a private life. What she always intended to do was go to California.
He built that war on one central claim, that the press could only have obtained his private life through illegal methods. Some cases brought real victories and serious settlements, which only strengthened that narrative. But when the Daily Mail trial began, it also opened the door to a far more dangerous question, whether Harry's own account would survive scrutiny.
He is Mr. Mischief. He's Mr. Traitor. He's Mr. Charlatan. He's Mr. Double Standards. He's Mr. Duplicity. He's Mr. Disloyal. He's Mr. Entitled. He's Mr. Selfish. He's Mr. Big Overgrown Baby. He's Mr. Spoiled Brat. He's Mr. World's Least Happy Millionaire.
Then came the messages. Harry had initiated contact, identified himself directly, shared his private number, and kept the exchange alive over several weeks. What had been presented in court as distance from journalists now looked much more personal and much harder to explain away.
This case was insane to begin with.
The real issue wasn't flirtation, it was contradiction. Statements made under oath now collided with documented evidence, and that damage landed in the same courtroom where Harry had repeatedly invoked Chelsy as the great casualty of press intrusion. The result was a portrait of a man still haunted by what he lost, fighting old battles while opening a fresh wound in his own credibility.
He told Nicklin that he cut off all contact with Charlotte Griffiths the day after he found out that she was a journalist.
Then the focus shifts to money. Speculation is everywhere, but the only useful question is what the numbers actually show.
A set of highly inappropriate, very flirtatious text messages sent by the Duke of Sussex to a leading British journalist, which imply not just friendship, but potentially something of a far more intimate nature.
The Daily Mail left a nuclear bomb to go off at the end because Harry has said and kind of maintained that no, he has no personal relationships with the press.
Spotify was gone, and Netflix was no longer the triumph it once appeared to be. The early momentum of the Sussex brand had started to fracture, with high-profile deals shrinking, underperforming, or quietly falling away. What once looked like expansion was beginning to look like retreat.
These are creepy, very sexualized messages towards a young woman in journalism, and Harry claims, I found out she's a journo, I pulled the plug, but yet the evidence seems to contradict.
There was still real money in the system, from spare, inherited wealth, settlements, and a valuable home. So no, they were not broke. But financial survival at that level depends less on what came in yesterday than on whether new revenue can keep pace with what their life now costs.
This is a man who claims he disowned Charlotte Griffiths when he found out she's a journalist, and he's messaging her about movie snuggle.
And those costs are relentless. Private security, Taxes, staff, and legal fees continue draining millions while the deals meant to sustain that lifestyle have either weakened or disappeared. That's the danger, not sudden collapse, but expensive erosion.
Nobody wants to deal with them because, they know that aligning yourself with Harry and Meghan is just going to bring, not good things to come your way because they're so not liked. They don't have a good reputation.
By late 2025, even Archewell had been scaled back. Key staff had left and turnover kept mounting. At the same time, another date began looming over everything. May 19th, 2028. That is the point when California law could make any future marital split far more consequential than it already would be.
The couple saw their deals with Netflix, Spotify, and Lemonada Media end in the last 2 years, with Spotify boss Bill Simmons calling the two fucking grifters.
That date matters because after 10 years of marriage in California, the financial structure of divorce can change dramatically. No one can say with certainty what will happen, and both Harry and Meghan have publicly pushed back on divorce rumors. But whether or not a split comes, the calendar itself has become part of the narrative.
Penguin Random House is done with the Sussexes. It will never publish another book by them. They were financially burned.
And I think Penguin is just so financially burned, they can't imagine doing anything with them again.
And their only deal technically left standing is with publisher Penguin Random House. But I hear that too is over, if only because the two are annoying and can't come up with any good ideas for more books.
Strip away the gossip, and a harder pattern remains. Major partnerships ended, staff disappeared, family ties weakened, and the credibility problems kept growing. Whatever else is speculative, those losses are concrete, and they form the clearest record of how far things have unraveled.
They think there are royalties, but there aren't. Penguin overpaid, and with marketing, printing, and other costs, even with millions of copies sold, they will never earn out or get royalty.
The broader arc invites a historical comparison. Like Edward VIII, Harry is framed as a man who gave up duty, position, and belonging for love, only to face the possibility that the trade may never feel complete. The world is different now, but the emotional structure is familiar. Sacrifice first, doubt later.
It's usually a 6-month period for Meghan's mask to slip, and then she turns. And you can go in one day and not know anyone that you had been working with weeks before. And I also think it's interesting because the 10-year date of their marriage is coming up, and that is very significant in California. In California, if you're married for 10 years in California, everything is communal property.
Oh, wow.
So it doesn't matter if you have a prenup or not. After 10 years, it's communal property and you get half.
Chelsy never wanted royalty, branding, or a life measured by headlines. She wanted privacy, Africa, children, and a future built away from the cameras, and she created exactly that. Harry once said he wanted the same things, yet years later he stands amid court fights, broken alliances, and collapsing public goodwill, while the life he described so often now belongs to someone else.